Well, hi, everyone. My name is Matt Milthaler. I am the marketing director at Undivided, and we are ecstatic to be releasing our new branding. And that just didn't happen in a vacuum. We had expertise, we had expert help on that. And today we're going to talk to Lauren Hofer. She is of Atlas Minor, and she is the person behind the design and the vibe and the outstanding new feel of Undivided. So hello, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
So Lauren, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and who you are as a person and what kind of brought, the relationship? How did this relationship form?
Yeah, I am Lauren Hofer. I work, my business is called Atlas Minor Design Studio, and I primarily do branding, identity, and some verbal identity brand strategy for both small business owners and teams. And actually, after working with Undivided, found that I really enjoy working on teams. So it was just it's been a really incredible process working with you all, and I'm excited for more work that we're doing together. I actually launched my business during the pandemic in the fall of 2020. I had been working with one of my dearest friends for almost 5 years doing similar work. She was more of a copywriter, and I was doing mostly design work. And between pandemic and trying to raise children, it just wasn't working. And so we decided to close that business. And then I launched this in December of 2020. And yeah, that's how things began for me. I live in Washington, D.C. and have two boys, and we play a lot of Legos.
I think when your kids play with Legos, that means you have like an 80% chance of stepping on one in the morning, and that's just agonizing.
Absolutely.
So, why don't you describe for me, what is your sweet spot? I mean, you're so many different things to us in terms of a strategic partner with planning and helping us dig down into who we are, to design. What do you think your sweet spot is?
That's a really great question. I think my sweet spot really is kind of digging in and getting to know an organization, know a business, and then finding ways to close gaps in the way they're trying to connect with people. And sometimes that is visual, sometimes that is verbal. And I have a background in art and design. I have a master's of fine arts in studio art. And so I come from a more conceptual way of approaching a design project than I do technical. And so when I think that's why the strategy piece is so interesting and important to me in my process.
One of the things that you did with us that I think was great, you mentioned like getting to know your clients, but when we talk about, I mean, the end result for many people is seeing a new logo, but that's not the process. There's more thought that goes into it. Can you tell me a little bit about, how getting to know the client and how that thought process is critical to your design process?
Yeah, great question. For working with you guys, I did a lot of interviews. I interviewed the executive team, I interviewed some other team members. We did some surveys, and it was a lot of data collection, and then taking the time to go through that data and to try to understand what are the needs of the brand. Is a new name necessary? Or does the name actually hit the mark? Does the color palette need to change or shift in any way? Does that to make it feel more a part of, more in line with the vibe of the brand, not just the vibe, but also the way that it gets communicated. So there's a lot of time spent in conversation. We had a lot of conversations, a lot of time just thinking. There's a lot of thought work going on in this project, and it's easy to. I think most people think that a branding process is you get a brief from your client and then you just execute the brief. And for some companies, for some agencies, that's the way that it works. And for others, and for myself particularly, I like to spend a lot of time being immersed in the data to come up with the right solution.
That's great. We've all seen the series, Behind the Music or Behind the Band.
Right.
I want to just go break down some elements of the new design and of the new logo. Can you tell me the thought or the feeling or the vibe that's connected to some of the colors that you selected?
Yeah. So part of some of the language from Undivided brand was about like igniting and then also like spreading or a ripple effect. And so that center U in the U for Undivided is like that fire, and is that the hot center that then spreads out and has this ripple effect and flows out into the rest of and into other interactions and engagements with people, with individuals, with businesses, churches, influencers, to kind of you're coming from the core of something that's grounded and real and alive, and moving it out to be effective within your community.
Tell me about the U, the distinctive U. Undivided begins with you. The design of the U, is there anything behind that, or is there any deeper meaning to your design?
Yeah, this U is the U from a particular typeface called Martin by Trey Seals of Vocal Type. It's the typeface was designed inspired by the Memphis sanitation workers strike in 1968, I believe. And he created that and all of his types are in reference to social movements. And the work of Undivided is in the flow of a social movement from the civil rights era, deeply rooted within the tradition of the church, the Black church in particular. And so that U seemed to be what we wanted it to be grounded in the history, not only of the civil rights movement, but also in the roots of how Undivided became Undivided.
So I know you may repeat yourself, but when all of these elements come together,
yeah,
what do you hope it conveys at an emotional level with people?
At an emotional level, I hope that this brand conveys a sense of connection, a sense of movement and energy, and bringing people in from the margins of people feeling like there's a place for them. Another reason behind the multicolored U is that it kind of represents a multi-ethnic coalition of people coming together to fight for racial injustice and to move towards racial healing with one another.
That's awesome. Were there any points, I guess you can maybe pick one of these. So was there a time where it was distinctly hard to do this project? Or was there a time when it was distinctly easy to do this project? You can answer one or both. But it's all right. We can be vulnerable here. I mean, it was a process. It was a long process. There were some times where we had to have breakthrough. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. This project was both like a really interesting design challenge and also a challenge in like the project moving forward. I think the biggest challenge was around naming and going through a process of putting up several naming options, and in the end the name that was really the front runner the whole time and was historically the name of the organization, it became more clear that that's what it needed to be. And so there was a sense in which part of me felt like, oh, well, that was a lot of time spent in this area that we didn't actually come up with something different, that may have felt like a waste, but it actually kind of solidified why we needed to keep the name Undivided and not try something different. And I think some of my like favorite parts were the moments where Matt, Natalie, and I were just kind of noodling around and an Illustrator together, and I just felt so collaborative and fun and easy, and I just really cherished those times we were on the screen together doing that work.
Me too. It's fun. I have some design experience, but you're a master. So it was like if you're a craftsman or a woodworker, you know, to be able to watch a craftsman at work and see how they use their tools differently than how you use your tools, it was really cool. And it was really cool to be collaborative, and it was such a great process. So what is your as you were exposed to kind of our staff team, our core team, to our volunteers, some like hardcore volunteers, all in volunteers, to some of our participants, what are your lasting impressions of our organization?
Undivided loves people. That is abundantly clear to me. They really care not only for staff members and volunteers and participants, but the larger community. I think one of the things that makes Undivided stand out to me so much more than other similar organizations is that in addition to wanting people to feel a sense of belonging and feel cared for and loved, there's also this push towards making actual changes within policy, within people's communities. And I think that that is the most distinctive thing about the work that Undivided does. And I'm so thankful to have been a part of this project.
Well, after working with you, like one of the things that we definitely want to do is lift you up and promote you and make sure that everyone knows about your services. We did everything over Zoom. We never met in person. So you are available to anyone in the country because of the wonderful thing of technology. How do we get a hold of you? How do we tell people how to reach out and how to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can find me at my website, atlasminer.studio, or on Instagram at atlasminer.studio. I'm not super active on Instagram, but I will respond to DMs or comments. And I just really appreciate you guys wanting to help build my business. I really have enjoyed working with you and would do it again in a heartbeat.
Well, great. You are one of us now, and I think we are one of you.
Yes.
Thank you, just sincerely. Thank you for the thoughtfulness and the care that you brought to this project, and for putting up with us at some point. But we're really proud of the brand. We're proud of the work that you've done, and you will have an indelible mark on who we are as an organization. And for that, we are appreciative. So thank you so much.
Thank you.